let me like think of how I want to start this real quick and drink some more soy. Okay. All right. Okay, so Kyle Rittenhouse, who is on tape murdering two people and shooting a third, had his $2 million cash bond paid for in part by the My Pillow guy and some other CEO stuff. And so I'm gonna bring this to attention first here. The teenage gunman charged with killing two Black Lives Matter protesters in Wisconsin this summer walked out of jail Friday afternoon after posting $2 million bail. Kyle Rittenhouse, 17, was released from custody around 2 p.m. and handed over to his own security detail after his attorneys posted bond on his behalf, according to the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department. Supporters have been donating money for his bail, and a lawyer Friday said cash from the former Silver Spoons and NYPD Blue actor Ricky Schroeder and My Pillow CEO Mike Lindell helped spring Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse is out of jail, attorney Linwood tweeted. God bless all who donate to help #FightBack. Raise required $2 million cash bail. Special thanks to actor Ricky Schroeder and Mike Lindell for putting us over the top. I guess he misspelled Schroeder's name there, which is really funny. Okay, so this is the thing. The My Pillow guy has been, they floated his name for like the Trump administration at one point. That guy is like really deep in there. But you need to understand what, like, first of all, my entry level analysis is what could $2 million do? $2 million is a decent amount of money, especially when we live in a depression where 40% of people cannot pay their rent. 40% of renters in the United States of America cannot pay their rent. So $2 million could go a long way. The right wing in this country is more interested in spending $2 million on releasing a murderer from jail temporarily than they are spending $2 million helping the working poor in this country, the essential workers who cannot pay their rent, who cannot feed their children. And that is something I really want to be explicit about this analysis. $2 million was wasted on springing a murderer, someone who is on tape murdering people. Why did he murder someone? Because someone threw a plastic bag at him? Right? It's ridiculous. So this fucking twerp. So I'm going to read this here also, this other article from NBC News. And this one I think is Kyle Rittenhouse says he used coronavirus stimulus check to buy AR-15 used in fatal shooting. No, I don't regret it, Rittenhouse told the Washington Post about buying the gun. This country is broken. It's broken. Now, you can make the argument capitalism is working just as intended, and I would agree with that analysis. But if you want to say that America, the American experiment, is based on the idea that we should always aspire to do more, if you want that to be your kind of notion of America, and I would like that to be my notion of America personally, it's hard to believe in that kind of fairy tale, but, always should push to help people. This country is broken. Kyle Rittenhouse cashed a coronavirus stimulus check to purchase the semi-automatic rifle that authorities say he used to fatally shoot two men in Kenosha, Wisconsin, he said. Now, one of the arguments that the right has been using to defend Kyle Rittenhouse is, it wasn't his gun, he didn't buy the gun, he didn't bring it across state lines, blah, blah, blah. That argument is, I'm sorry, that's gone. You're going to have to get a new grift. In a telephone interview with the Washington Post posted Thursday, the jailed Rittenhouse said he acted in self-defense and has no regrets for arming himself that fateful August night as protesters marched in the wake of Jacob Blake's shooting by police. This is something that is extremely important to understand. A 17-year-old kid is not fully mentally there, right? The brain doesn't stop growing until at least in the mid-20s, right? This guy has been programmed by an entire, culture that what he did is acceptable. Murdering two people, acceptable, right? The idea that you would question, why did I go there? why did I illegally purchase this gun? That is not ever, why did I violate curfew? Those are not ever part of this equation, right? It's like, again, reviewing a film. Like, oh yeah, what is your opinion on a random film? Oh, well, I watched the last 10 minutes of it, and I think the movie is really good. It's amazing. Okay, but you didn't watch the full film. You're not analyzing the full scenario. You're judging like a situation by the last 10 minutes and none of the other decisions that led up until that point. And that's why it's such a crucial thing you need to understand here. Rittenhouse, 17, who had worked as a YMCA lifeguard, was arrested at his home in Antioch, Illinois, a day after the fatal shootings of Joseph Rosenbaum, 36, and Anthony Huber, 26, on August 25th. I got my $1,200 from the coronavirus Illinois unemployment because I was on furlough from YMCA, and I got my first unemployment check, so I was like, oh, I'll use it to buy it, Rittenhouse said in his first jailhouse interview. Again, notice how gleeful this is. Like, yeah, I illegally purchased my gun. I know I illegally purchased my gun. I do not regret illegally purchasing my gun and murdering people. No regrets. He wasn't old enough to purchase the weapon himself. Authorities allege that he had a friend in Kenosha buy the AR-15 and hold it for him in Wisconsin. This is premeditation. Okay? He purchased a weapon. He knew it was illegal to purchase the weapon. That is premeditation, right? He had a friend of his illegally hold that weapon. So, now, again, one of the big arguments, oh, he didn't cross state lines with the weapon. He didn't cross state lines. What? He bought the weapon. It was his weapon, right? He had it stored, right? And he was like, okay, tonight's the night. I'm ready to kill. So he went across, took out his gun, and just killed people. And that's what you need to understand here, right? There is no alternative reading of this. It's not self-defense, right? You don't go into a gunfight, right? And then, like, someone, like, throws a plastic bag at you and you get to just go on a killing spree. That's not self-defense, right? Why were you there? The premeditation nullifies the self-defense, okay? It's like if I go in to rob a bank. All right, I'm robbing the bank. And then one of the managers, like, comes out of the back room with a baseball bat. Or, I guess, comes out of the back room with a plastic fucking bag. And just throws a plastic bag. You know when you throw a plastic bag and it, like, bounces back at you because, like, it's a plastic fucking bag? So imagine, right, I've got a gun. I'm robbing a bank, right? Premeditated crime in progress already. Someone throws a plastic bag at me and I shoot and kill them? Is that self-defense? No, it's not. I was in a criminal situation where I had already violated several laws. That's not self-defense. And then someone throws a plastic bag at me? Okay, so Rittenhouse, who lived across the state line just 20 miles away, said he was out on the streets in Kenosha in southeast Wisconsin on August 25th to protect local businesses and render medical aid during protests. Pictures of Rittenhouse that night show him with his AR-15 slung over his shoulder and a medic's bag on his hip. Okay, I was going to a place where people had guns. Why? Maybe think about that, right? Why would I go to this place where people have guns? I don't know. And God forbid someone brought a gun to me and decided to shoot. Oh yeah, God forbid, right? And this is the thing. Law and order, for you, the black people have to follow law and order. The white teenagers that support the cops, fuck it. Law? Order? Yo, what if they had a gun? No, Kyle, again, introspection is not something that the right is capable of. They are NPCs. Kyle, you are that person. When you say that scenario, God forbid someone had a gun and decided to shoot me, you are that person. That is you. You are describing yourself. You know, one of those situations where people say when you have a gun in a situation that you're more likely to be in danger just by the sheer fact that you have a gun, right? If there's an active shooter and you are armed, you are more likely to participate in a situation with an active shooter. That is kind of the situation. You go to a gunfight with a gun, you are going to be more likely to use a gun. If you don't have a gun, you're not likely to use a gun. If you stay at home and play Xbox, you're not likely to go on a killing spree. These are all the things that you need to understand. This was premeditated. This person was programmed. And when I say programmed, again, they are a kid. They are a child. What they are programmed by is from mainstream media. The President of the United States and their parents programmed this kid to not have any introspective ability, to not think about their actions in any capacity, and to just view everyone else as the enemy at all costs. God forbid someone had a gun. God forbid you had a gun, Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay. I wanted to be protected, which I ended up having to protect myself. Be protected. Again, that's another word like liberty, freedom, right? These words that right-wingers use, that when you ask them to define them, it's like, what is freedom? Oh, the freedom to starve because you can't find a job in a depression? That's freedom, right? Okay. God forbid you needed to protect yourself. From what? From a plastic bag is, I guess, what this guy needed to protect himself from. There is a reason why a lot of states say, again, he illegally purchased this gun. There is a reason why there are some sort of safeguards. You don't want kids who are barely developed, who are eating right-wing propaganda on a daily basis to have guns. You don't want these kids to be in these situations where they have a gun and they're like short-tempered and they're willing to shoot and kill other people. That's not a situation you want to be in. And that's why he knew that and he illegally purchased this gun. Did he illegally purchase the gun so that he could protect himself at home? No. He wasn't protecting himself. He was premeditatingly going into an environment. He knew he was going to have that gun available to him, which he illegally purchased months prior. He knew what was going on, and then he discharged that weapon. Responsible gun ownership is knowing when using a weapon is irresponsible. That is part of responsible gun ownership. In order to be a responsible citizen that is armed, you need to know when and when not to use your weapon. Kyle Rittenhouse illegally purchased this weapon, already irresponsible, and does not know that distinction. But this is important. No, I don't regret it, he said. I would have died that night if I didn't. I feel like I had to protect myself. Again, the idea that this kid can say, I illegally purchased a gun, and that's fine, I don't regret it. I went to a protest in a town I don't live in, that's fine. I got my gun that I illegally purchased, right, from my friend who illegally held that gun, right, and then I shot and killed people. The idea, again, it's like reviewing a movie while only watching the last 10 minutes. Like, if you watch the last 10 minutes of a movie, you might not know who the main character is. You might not know all the context leading up to that. You might not know the crimes that one character you thought was really awesome. Yo, that guy was really cool in the gunfight at the end of this Western film. But if you watch, like, the first hour and 20 minutes, you'll see, oh, that guy was actually the villain. But I only watched the last 10 minutes, right? That's one of those situations. But this is, like, another thing. Now, I want to say this and I want to stipulate this because one of the right-wing conspiracy theories is, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse murdered a pedophile and therefore it's okay that he illegally purchased a weapon because he murdered a pedophile. Now, that may or may not be true, right? But law and order, again, law and order only applies to everyone that I disagree with. So Kyle Rittenhouse is allowed to illegally purchase a gun. Law and order, right? He was protecting himself. He is allowed to illegally violate curfew. Law and order, what? Law and order. He is allowed to shoot and kill people, right? Oh, but that person was a pedophile, so it's okay. Okay, so here's the thing. Rosenbaum, to my understanding, went to prison. He did his time, and he left prison. Law and order, right? That is law and order. You go to prison, you do the time for the crime, you get out of prison. Law and order. That's not good enough for these people. They say it's okay that he was murdered by Kyle Rittenhouse because of his crimes in the past. But these are the same people that advocate for law and order. Now, is me saying Kyle Rittenhouse shooting a pedophile, if an alleged pedophile or a convicted, I don't know the situation, I haven't researched it fully. Is that a bad thing necessarily? Is it better that this guy's not on the street? Maybe. But you can't prove a counterfactual. What I do know is that Kyle Rittenhouse should not have been there. He should not have had that gun, and that whole situation should not have happened. What I do know is that this person was convicted, did time, and is released. Okay, those are facts. Those are verifiable. Now, can we say that, oh, Rosenbaum might have attacked another child 60 years from now, right? Like in Kyle prevent, maybe, but you can't prove a counterfactual. That's not something that you can do. So, Rosenbaum, one of the victims, had long struggled with mental illness and suicide attempts, and he had been just released from a hospital earlier in the day. His fiance Karian Swart, told the Post. Swart said they spent hours at a motel where she lived and cleaned rooms, but because of a previous arrest on a domestic violence charge, Rosenbaum left the motel that night fearing he could be arrested for breaking an order of protection, she told the newspaper. She urged him to steer clear of downtown Kenosha, but he somehow ended up in the middle of the protest. Video taken by bystanders appears to show Rosenbaum running at Rittenhouse and throwing a plastic bag at him moments before shots ring out and Rosenbaum crumples. Crumples? What the fuck kind of language is that? To the pavement. Crumples? Crumples? What? Crumples? Are you kidding? Okay. Swart said the bag was filled with belongings Rosenbaum had with him at the hospital. She rejected Rittenhouse's self-defense claim. I don't think there's any sort of self-defense when there's an unarmed person in front of you and you're holding an assault rifle 2 feet away. Kenosha County District Attorney Michael Gravelli couldn't be immediately reached for comment Thursday. Again, a plastic bag is not a weapon. Now again, let's, in this bank robbery scenario, I'm robbing a bank, I've got my bag out, like the person's putting the money in, and someone runs at me and throws like a pencil at me. Oh, I can kill them in self-defense now. Like a pencil is more of a weapon than a plastic bag, just FYI. But like this argument is, oh, I can violate any crime under the book, and at the end of the movie, right, again, it's like you're watching a movie, right, oh, why is this person at the bank? Why do they have a mask on? I don't know, but someone just threw a pencil at them and they shot and killed them, self-defense. You are not analyzing the full situation. And that is what you need to understand. If you say law and order, you cannot defend Kyle Rittenhouse. The Venn diagram of law and order and defending a criminal, those are two separate circles. But somehow, the Trump brain is able to make them one circle. You can somehow these people simultaneously say law and order is something that needs to be followed. Law and order, law and order, law and order, law and order, law and order. But when a teenager violates several laws and ends up killing people, oh, self-defense. Yeah, I mean, he illegally bought the gun. He illegally violated curfew. You know, he didn't know how to use the gun. He had no gun training. I mean, that's whatever. But, the guy he shot was sent to prison before, so did this time and got released. Law and order, I guess, right? Again, this is one of those situations. Actually, there's one more thing I wanted to show here. Look at this fucking little pic here. Look at this guy. This, like, there is the Black Rifle Coffee Company is sponsoring a murderer. Someone who is is on video murdering people with an illegally purchased firearm. Oh, yeah. Sponsorship. Right, and these are the guys, of course, that run the Black Rifle Coffee Company. Black Rifle Coffee Company is quite literally the combination of my two favorite passions. I take pride in the coffee we roast, the veterans we employ, and the causes we support. Look at this fucking guy. Black Rifle Coffee Company. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This is a cut and dry case. If you defend Kyle Rittenhouse, you cannot defend law and order. You have to pick one. Do you want law and order, or do you want vigilante justice? Now, again, if you want vigilante justice, that's at least a consistent thing. I only want people that I agree with doing the murdering. That's all I want, right? Now, again, let's look at an analogous situation. Michael Ryanel, the guy who shot and killed someone at a protest in Portland, I think a week after the Kenosha incident. What happened with that guy? Remind me. Oh, right. He was executed, shot 40 times by federal police. Isn't that interesting? Kyle Rittenhouse, a right-wing folk hero for killing 2 protesters. Michael Ryanel, self-defense, allegedly. Again, we couldn't process these claims because there wasn't a court case. Not only shot and killed by federal police, executed 40 times. Shot 40 times? He was unarmed. He may have had a gun on him, but he was shot and killed before he even knew that there was anyone around them. This is the difference in how even someone remotely connected to having a single left-wing belief is treated versus a 17-year-old violating multiple laws and murdering people. This is how the right treats these people differently. Law and order, they say. Yeah, we can violate the Constitution to assassinate American citizens. Law and order, what? Law? Order? No, they disagree with me. So law and order doesn't apply to them, I guess. 80 million people voted for Joe Biden, right? They claim the election was stolen. Should law and order not apply to Joe Biden voters? That's what a lot of Republicans are saying. A lot of Proud Boys are out there saying that we should kill Joe Biden. What? What about law and order? Right. Law and order is a convenient excuse when it comes to, I don't know, rioters and looters. Gotta get that law and order. But when it comes to a 17-year-old roaming the streets with an illegally purchased firearm, killing someone because of a plastic bag, all of a sudden, all responsibility thrown out the window. Being a responsible gun owner requires knowing when to shoot, knowing how to shoot, and knowing what to do with that gun. If you see someone running at you with a plastic bag, do you kill them? Or do you, I don't know, maybe shoot them in the leg? Pull a card out of Joe Biden's playbook? A 17-year-old cannot properly make these decisions. Again, this is why we have some of these laws. This is why Kyle Rittenhouse admitted to illegally purchasing this firearm, because he knew he was not supposed to have it. That is premeditation for a crime. When you don't know how to use a gun, when you are incapable of using a gun, and yet you are using a gun and people end up dead, it doesn't matter if it's self-defense or if whatever, protecting whatever. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't have been in that situation. Oh, but they came at me with a plastic bag. I feared for my life. They had a plastic bag. Who knows? Could have been anything. It's ridiculous. And yet these people are going to seriously claim, right? You're going to have the same people saying Kyle Rittenhouse is an American hero. The same people are going to go to another video of mine and say law and order. Why are the black people out past curfew? Why was the white teenager out past curfew? Oh, doesn't matter. The black person shouldn't be out, but the white kid, that's fine. They can be out past curfew. Why? Well, because they agree with me. And at the end of the day, it isn't about law and order. It's not about equal treatment under the Constitution. It's about, if you disagree with me, fuck it. It doesn't matter anymore. If someone even has a remotely left-leaning persuasion, they're assassinated, shot 40 times in the back by federal police. If someone has a right-wing point of view, they're turned into a mythologized folk hero. Think about that. This is the country we live in. This is going to be the next few years. This is going to be the next decade. This is going to be the next era of all of our collective lifetimes. How do we deal with people that say law and order, but also say that anyone I agree with is immune to law and order? How do we deprogram them? How do we, say, hey, that's not a thing. You can't do that. That's like saying red is my favorite color, but so is green. They're both my favorite color. Well, you can like them both equally, but if you have a favorite color, you need to pick one, right? You can't say that red is my favorite color one day, and I guess you could, but my point is, there can only be one favorite. You can only have one core principle. Either it's law and order, or it's anyone I agree with is immune to anything. You got to pick one. You got to pick one. That's just the world we live in. It's ridiculous. These people are animals. If you support Kyle Rittenhouse, you need to do some serious introspection in your life, because you're just evil. Like there is no middle ground. Oh, well, I didn't have all the facts. Get the facts. Before you start celebrating a murderer, get the facts. Oh, well, it's just, the black people were rioting and looting, and I'm sorry, you're just a racist piece of shit. I'm sorry. If you support the federal assassination of Michael Reinl, but don't support doing the same thing to Kyle Rittenhouse, you are not a morally consistent person. You are just an opportunist, and all you care about is whether or not the people I disagree with can be shot and murdered. Who cares about the Constitution? If people I agree with have any problems in their lives whatsoever, well, I'm going to talk about it on social media all day. Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I need to drive this point home. There are millions of people out there that think the federal execution of Michael Ryanel is justified, and that Kyle Rittenhouse acted in self-defense. There are people that believe those two things simultaneously. The people that believe the sky is blue and the people that believe the sky is green. What if they both were the same person? That's the world that we're living in? How do we deal with that? How do we deprogram these people? I don't know. I have no fucking idea. Clearly, doing these videos, doing these reports, doing these news stories, getting testimony from the kid himself, clearly that's not doing anything. How do we deprogram people from wanting to go out in the streets and murder black people or anyone that they perceive as disagreeing with them? Oh, someone's out past curfew? Well, I'm out past curfew, but I've got a gun and they've got a plastic bag. Let's shoot and kill? I'm sorry. There is no defense.